Alright guys, so I've been having a couple of you have some minor issues with how your files are saved. So in this short video, we're going to go ahead and address that particular issue, right? Now I'm just going to go over some of the more basic, functionalities about how to work with Visual Studio Code. So keep in mind that, for example, when I have my Visual Studio Code window here, it should be more or less the same thing as when you guys have it. Did not mean to do that. Hold on. I'm going to have to move this to the side a little bit. So I do this so that way you guys can see in real time the changes. But in reality, if you're working on a desktop or a little laptop, chances are this is all you're going to be able to see. And then you're going to have to switch over to your browser in order to actually see things in real time, jumping back and forth. Okay. Again, keep in mind that I position my screen like this so that way you guys can actually see what I do in real time, and that way I don't have to be jumping around between windows, okay? So if you do not see this little menu up top, you probably have what's called a hamburger menu. So you're going to see some lines or some dots. If you click that, it's going to go ahead and show you what you're missing, right? So obviously, for example, in here, I am missing the go, the run, terminal, help. If I were to make this even smaller, as you can see in there, that's what's referred to as the hamburger button, right? So if I click this, these pop down, okay? Furthermore, if you don't see this, as long as you see the Explorer here, this little sidebar, you can click this little part here, and then something similar to this, if not this exact same panel, is going to pop out, okay? Let me increase this in size a little bit. There we go. So in here, you have a couple of ways to open things, right? Now, like we saw in the opening video, we have the open file. This is only going to go ahead and open up individual files. What I recommend you guys do is go ahead and do open folder. Now you can open the folder from here, from this little tab. Now, if you don't see this tab, chances are you just close it by accident like this. So you won't see anything like this, but you will still see the command. So Control K or Control O on Windows. I believe on Mac, it should be Command K or Command O, okay? Again, these will probably, well, not probably, they will change depending on the operating system, but the overall order is the same. Now, again, if you don't see the panel here and you don't feel confident enough to use the command keys, again, you can just click on the side panel on the Explorer, the little sheets of paper, and we're going to go to open folder. A third way that we can go ahead and do the exact same thing is if we go over to file, and then on file, we can go to open folder, okay? So any of those ways will give you the exact same result. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and say open folder. And right now, I'm just going to save it to my desktop. Right now, I would suggest, instead of just saving it straight to the desktop, save it to your documents or something. And again, right-click, new folder. Now, this, again, differs slightly from on Mac. I believe on Mac, you would be able to see a button that says new folder. But if you cannot see it, you can also, again, just right-click on the search window, new folder, and that's going to create the folder that you need, all right? So in here, I'm just going to say HTML example, and that is all types of messed up. Right, and then just make sure you have the folder that you want selected. Select folder. And as you can see now on my Explorer, I have HTML example, right? Now, in here to create a file, we can click new file. We can click new file here on this little sheet of paper. And again, we can go to the file and then new file. Again, we have multiple ways of achieving the exact same thing. The easiest method, however, is going to be on the Explorer. Locate the little sheet of paper with the plus symbol. Click it. And then this little prompt is going to show up. And in here, you can type the name of your your file. So in this instance, we'll say index, followed by the extension that we need. So in this particular scenario, we're going to do .html, okay? Important to note, let's say that you have multiple versions of this that you're working on. do not add the version afterwards. So for example, in this part here, I did HTML2. As you can see over here on my computer, I have another extension that shows me some icons. This is now turned into a weird sheet of paper. If you're going to do different versions, make sure you do it before the extension. So index2.html. Okay. Once we hit enter, it's going to go ahead and generate our HTML file. Now, this is where a lot of you guys are having some issues. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and generate my HTML. We're going to go ahead and create, the header, or just the head in this instance. Then we're going to create the body. And in the body, I'm just going to do an H1 and say, hello. If I go ahead and click go live right now, I went ahead and saved it for us. But, let's assume that you created this, and then let's say that instead of say hello, we're going to say hello there. And you guys are, well, it's not, it's not showing over here my new added value, right? So for example, let's add a paragraph tag. And here we say, this is my example. Again, it is not updating. And the reason is you guys have not yet saved the changes. If you see over here at the top of the tab, there's a little white dot. That little white dot indicates that you have unsaved changes to your document. So in order to get rid of this little white dot, you can do a couple of things. On the keyboard, if you're on Windows, you can hit Control S at the same time, and it's going to go ahead and save. The little white dot gets replaced by an X, and that indicates that there are no unsaved changes in your file. As you can see, it has immediately updated. Okay? Another way that we can go ahead and do this is if we go to File, and then click Save right here. By the way, is in here you can also see the shortcut. If you guys are on Mac, instead of hitting Control S, you're going to hit Command S, and that's going to achieve the exact same result. Okay, as you can see now, I deleted my E from here, and we have this example, right? So again, just make sure you have no little white dot up there. Now, there is another solution that you guys can go ahead and try. If you do not want to be constantly doing, Command S, you can go over to your file, over here in the file, go all the way down where you see autosave, okay? If you click this, it's going to enable, and now every time you go ahead and make a new change, it's going to save it automatically for you, okay? So for example, I'll do an H2 and then say, and as you can see, it takes ever so slightly, but it automatically saves. Now, what is the main drawback with this? Well, if you are using Prettier as the default formatter, it will not, It will not go ahead and rearrange your code, right? So it can get very messy very fast, okay? So that is probably the main reason I try to avoid having the autosave. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal if you, as you are working, you keep your code organized, okay? So it's, choose the lesser of two evils, so to speak. Do you want to constantly keep hitting Control S to save your changes so that way you can see them? Or do you just want to, make sure your code is always manually well aligned, right? So I, again, personally do not like using autosave. There's nothing wrong with it. I am just a little bit too lazy. So I prefer to use Prettier to format my code. As you can see, these tags just moved over in place and there, okay? But again, the important part is, as long as you do not see a little white dot up here, that means that you do not have unsaved changes pending. If you see the white dot, you will not see your code reflect on the browser itself. All right. So hopefully this clears up some of the more common issues that have been popping out. If by any chances you are still having issues, please do not hesitate to get in contact with me. That is what I am here for. I'm here to help you guys out. And this is, I'm trying to make this a more enjoyable class for you guys. Okay. So again, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if need be, we can do a Teams meeting, and that way I can see your screen and I can guide you through it. Okay, guys? Well, that's it for today. Thank you for joining in.